Dub Nation, we gotta talk. Because this just dropped, and honestly, I'm still processing it. Jonathan Kuminga, yeah, our former top 10 pick, the guy who was supposed to be part of the future of this franchise, just officially demanded a trade. And the moment the league calendar hit January 15th, the moment he became eligible to be traded, he didn't wait, didn't hint, didn't tease. He went straight up, get me out of here. And let's be honest, we all saw this coming. You can only bury a young talent this long before it blows up in your face. And now it's happening. Shams and Anthony Slater dropped the report. Kuminga wants out. The relationship with Steve Kerr is fractured beyond repair, and everybody in the building knows it. Front office, coaches, teammates, ownership. No more secrets. And it hurts. Not because we didn't expect it, but because of what it says about where this franchise is right now. I mean, think about this. This man hasn't played since December 18. We've been watching our bench rotations make no sense, seeing the same veterans run out there game after game while a 23-year-old freak athlete, a dude who dropped 24 a game last year in the playoffs when given a real chance, sits on the bench like he doesn't exist. You don't think that wears a man down? This is the same guy the front office gave $46 million to just months ago. The same guy who was supposed to thrive next to Steph. The same guy who worked through a rocky summer contract negotiation because he still believed he could break through. But what did he get? Benched, ignored, and now, gone. And don't get it twisted, this isn't just about minutes. It's not just about playing time. It's about the total collapse of trust between a player and an organization. Word is, Kuminga's camp felt like the Warriors used him. They gave him a team-friendly deal not to build with him, but to flip him. And now, with his value tanking, the Warriors want to hold out until someone offers something worthy. Like, come on, you think you're going to squeeze a king's ransom for a guy you didn't even respect enough to play? And Kerr, let's be real, he's been done with Kuminga for a while now. Multiple insiders said it. The minute JK made a mistake, Kerr yanked him and never looked back. And now that Draymond's back, Jimmy Butler's in the mix, and the vibes are off, Kuminga is just collateral damage. So, here we are. Another young Warrior wasted. Another future piece pushed out the door. Another crack in what used to be the most stable, joyful, dominant dynasty in the league. This is more than a trade request. This is a symptom of something deeper, something broken. And unless Mike Dunleavy Jr. pulls a rabbit out of his hat, this could be the beginning of a very dark chapter for the Warriors.
Let's break this down, because what's happening with Jonathan Kuminga isn't just about him anymore. This is a front office crisis, a coaching disconnect, a locker room split. Then the receipts? They're all over the media right now. Let's start with the core of it all. The Steve Kerr relationship is done. From Shams and Slater on ESPN, fractured beyond repair. Everyone in the building knows Kuminga wants out. He feels held hostage. That's not some drama from Twitter. That's two of the most connected NBA insiders saying the Warriors completely botched a top 10 pick's development and created a situation so toxic it's impossible to walk back. And Lou Williams, Boogie Cousins, they went in on how this was handled.
Give young fella credit. He stayed quiet, he stayed down, stayed professional, didn't ruffle the leaves. And the day that he can get traded, I'm gonna make this grand announcement bright and early in the morning. It's 10:46 Eastern.
Dang,
it's 7:46
right.
where they play. So for him to make this announcement bright and early like this, he wants it to be front page news and be talked about on every single platform there is. That's the way that you do it. And plus, why shake the tree when you know you can't be moved anyways? Like, I can't be moved until today. So today is gonna be the day I make a splash. I love the way that he handled it. Love the way that he's been carrying himself. And you know, hopefully something happens in the near future here for him. Salute him.
I want to, starting from the top, I will say this dude has been completely professional in this whole situation. And can you imagine signing $20+ million with a team and the coach basically saying you don't fit with this team, and then being stuck there. And when you do play, you play pretty well. When you're in the lineup, with Steph, you're winning games. And I knew when Jimmy came over and Jimmy, Draymond, Kuminga, it wasn't a great fit. I knew there was going to be an odd man out, and it was probably going to be Kuminga. But then they bring him back for $20+ million, and they don't play him. They don't get him that opportunity. Is a little nuts. And so like I'm happy for both sides just to get through this, and I hope he gets traded because I want him in a fresh start. I want him to go and have a hell of a career because I do think he's an awesome dude. I think he's a great player. He just doesn't fit the Steve Kerr mold in offense of what they're doing. But on the flip side, Steve Kerr's also saying, he's on record saying, we're a fading dynasty and we're not the 17 Warriors anymore. If they don't trade Kuminga, he's their only real trade asset to kind of get those picks and get some young stuff back. And if they don't do it, it's going to be a real issue. And I love Mike Dunleavy too. And the whole situation to me is just weird. Like Kuminga is too good to not be playing on this team. And they're not like they're the 1 or 2 or 3 seed. Like they're a mediocre team, not playing their only young stud. So it's all weird to me. I respect that Kuminga kind of waited till right now where he can officially get traded. But believe me, we're going to hear a lot more out of him and his agent Aaron Turner if he doesn't get moved soon.
So, Kerr's also on his last year. Wouldn't that be crazy if we come back next season and neither one of them's in Golden State, or Kuminga stayed and Kerr's no longer coaching? Like, there are some
looks like the
weird
trend
scenarios
right now, right? It kind of looks like that's how it's gonna go.
Maybe Kerr goes back to TV. That would be very, very interesting. All right.
It's weird.
Well, there you go. Kuminga's made it official. The worst kept secret in the history of basketball is finally out there. Basketball. I don't know what age we're talking.
Over the last several weeks, when he's basically been banished, he's the 4th highest paid player on the Warriors, but he has not been in the rotation. So the Warriors have been canvassing the trade market for Jonathan Kuminga. 2 teams that have stood out with interest, mutual interest. Jonathan Kuminga has interest in them. They have interest in Jonathan Kuminga. Are the Sacramento Kings and the Dallas Mavericks. He's got a unique contract structure, a team option next season that allows him to be a little bit more trade eligible and really a viable option on the marketplace. So whether you and the Warriors believe Jonathan Kuminga is a star or not, he wants to get a trade elsewhere to see whether he is the all-star that he believes in himself.
Anthony, how are the Warriors viewing the situation?
I had one source basically describe the current situation as a, quote, complete waste of everybody's time. And I think the term everybody matters there because obviously you have a player who has these, ambitious career desires and at this point feels a little held hostage by the organization. You have a Hall of Fame coach who's made it very clear he doesn't think Kuminga fits with what they're trying to do to win now. And, Steve Kerr's very empowered at this moment, later in his career, coaching career, later in this core to make those decisions. And then you have a group of veterans who are, number one, they're pretty fond of Jonathan Kuminga, and they don't love seeing him in this limbo. And also, Jonathan Kuminga's making $22.5 million. He's rotting on the bench at this point, and they're trying to win a championship this season. Jimmy Butler said they're playing mediocre basketball recently. Well, that $22.5 million could be used in the trade market to get somebody who could help. And I think some of the reason you're feeling some of this angst building is because the Warriors are at least signaling to people that they don't have to trade Kuminga if they don't like the offers. And there are a lot of people on the ground level being like, this situation needs to get resolved by February 6th.
Anthony, there's always a tipping point. So where was it? Where did the relationship go bad here?
How long do we have? This is 5 years of a story, but I'll sum up what's happened recently quick. I mean, you have the contentious negotiations over the summer. Me and Shams are on here, basically every week, relaying the latest, issues between the two sides. He comes back feeling a type of way about the contract he feels he was forced into by the Warriors, this team structure or team-friendly structure to be traded. He thought he had, chances elsewhere where he would have got the starting job and opportunity he wanted. He starts to begin the season. It seemed like it was going well, but that was always on a rotten foundation where the moment it went wrong, Steve Kerr went away from Jonathan Kuminga. The moment Steve Kerr went away from Jonathan Kuminga, it was reopening old wounds where he said, Steve Kerr's never believed in me, and it kind of devolved from there. And I think the biggest picture takeaway I can say with my conversations with the Kuminga side is they feel like this is a 5-year tug of war where he is a pawn, and it is about the misalignment between ownership and a coach, where Steve Kerr doesn't believe in Kuminga necessarily as a player that fits with his core, but ownership at various times has been unwilling to trade him, and we're in the 5th year of this basic hostage situation, and Jonathan Kuminga
wants out of Golden State, according to ESPN. It took almost the entire offseason for Kuminga and the Warriors to agree to a 2-year deal as a restricted free agent. Today is the first day he can be traded under the terms of that deal, and it looks like he wants out. His relationship with Steve Kerr has reportedly soured. Don't need to read too far into that. Just look at the box scores. He hasn't played in 13 games. Let's bring in our NBA analyst, John Gonzalez, for more. John, is there much value on the trade market for Kuminga, and what teams do you think he could add value to?
Yeah, good question. This has been simmering for a while, right, Chris? I mean, as you mentioned, like the contract negotiation didn't go well during the offseason. It was really contentious. They finally signed him to a 2-year deal. But Jonathan Kuminga has been sort of going towards wanting out for a while now, and it looks like the Warriors are finally going to get around to it. So which teams might be good fits? Well, whenever somebody like Jonathan Kuminga pops up, you're going to hear the Sacramento Kings. They were evidently trying to land him during this offseason. They dangled Malik Monk. That didn't work out. Maybe they up the offer a little bit here. Maybe there could be something creative like a Domantas Sabonis, Keon Ellis, maybe a Precious Achiuwa package in exchange for Kuminga Moody, maybe a Buddy Hield. If the Warriors aren't looking to do something that big, maybe the Mavs could be interested. Anthony Davis is hurt. He's got a hand issue. He could be out at least 6 weeks. They're still waiting for Kyrie Irving to come back from an ACL. Cooper Flagg needs somebody his own age to run with here, Chris. Kuminga's only 23. That could make some sense. Maybe a swap where you send Daniel Gafford to the Warriors along with maybe Klay Thompson, a reunion there. And the one I really like, Chris, I'll throw one more at you here. The Brooklyn Nets. Michael Porter Jr. is having a career year. He would fit perfectly with the Golden State Warriors alongside Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Jimmy Butler. 2 of those 3 guys aren't great shooters. Well, Michael Porter Jr. can shoot, so it wouldn't be a spacing problem from the Warriors' perspective. And then from the Nets' perspective, you get a young player who has another year on a team option for next season where he could be the main guy, the lead scorer. I think that'd be a really good fit for both teams, Brooklyn and Golden State.
We saw the list put together by our NBA writer Sam Quinn, and the Lakers were on that list. I didn't hear you mention the Lakers. Is it feasible? Would it be worth the Lakers trying to add him to the fold?
Feasible, yes. Worth it? That's the question, right? Because, look, the Lakers, I don't think that they're nearly as good as the top 4 teams in the Western Conference. They're currently sitting 5th. Now, they've got Luka Doncic. They've got Austin Reeves, who they're going to want to bring back this offseason. And, of course, LeBron James, who we'll see whether or not he wants to play anymore after the season. And if he does, is it going to be in Los Angeles? But they've always been building towards sort of clearing the decks, not just this offseason, but the following offseason when they could have max money and really sort of rebuild this whole thing on the fly around Luka. So would they want to go and kick the tires on Jonathan Kuminga? They wouldn't tie them down because, as I said, he's got what he's owed this year plus a team option next year around $24 million. So if they decided they didn't like Jonathan Kuminga, they could get off of him. Now, what would they have to give up for him? Probably like Rui Hachimura and Dalton Knecht, which is no great shakes because they tried to trade Dalton Knecht last year anyway, and he's already fallen out of JJ Redick's rotation, so I don't think that they'd be really broken up about that. And with Rui Hachimura, the ceiling is pretty low for the Lakers, so it's a situation where they might just go, yeah, let's take a shot and see what we get out of this. But even if they did that, Chris, I don't think it's a real needle mover for them. The West is absolutely loaded, and I don't think Jonathan Kuminga put.
Shams reported that the 5th-year guard has demanded a trade out of Golden State. Kuminga has not played since December 18th with several injuries, but mostly coach's decision DNPs. The situation has been brewing for what seems to be years with Jonathan Kuminga. Shams, what can you tell us about who's interested in acquiring him?
MJ, there have been multiple teams that have been kind of canvassing. What is the Jonathan Kuminga market? What can we get? What can we give potentially the Warriors that would allow him to come here? Dallas and Sacramento have been at the top of the list so far for Jonathan Kuminga. Mutual interest with them. There are multiple other teams looking at it, but those are the 2 teams really over the last couple weeks that have been at the forefront of this. But again, it's what can the Warriors get out of it that will allow them to continue to let Stephen Curry, Jimmy Butler, and Draymond Green contend. Bobby Marks said it earlier on the show. It's like, is there some front court player that they can go find, they can plug in there that can help them? The one positive that the Warriors do have is this is a trade-friendly, team-friendly contract that Jonathan Kuminga is on. $22.5 million this season, and then he's got a team option for next year. Teams do have interest getting that team option year. Then you can kind of dictate and determine what you want to do from there.
Now, the wheeling and dealing will begin. Speaking of those teams, let's get to our front office insider, Bobby Marks, who's over at the Trade Machine.
Well, Shams mentioned one of those teams, which is the Sacramento Kings. And remember, Golden State is a first apron team, which means that you are not allowed to take back more salary in any trade here. So where does Sacramento have? Remember, we talked about front court help. They do have guards. Malik Monk has certainly been mentioned, but he's got 2 more years left on his contract after the season. When we look at it, here we go, with Monk and Kuminga, and then also a player like Keon Ellis, who's been talked about a lot. That trade actually works, but what does that do actually for Golden State here when you're getting 2 guards back? Certainly Ellis could help. Shams mentioned also the Dallas Mavericks. This is where it becomes complicated, where you're likely going to have to get a third team involved. You have that Kuminga salary, which is at $22.5 million. But look at the rest of the roster. AD, Kyrie. I mean, certainly Daniel Gafford could help if you could, but he's making $14.4 million. How do you get the salary to match? This is a Mavericks team that's also a first apron team. They can't take back salary here. So it does become a little bit more challenging with the Mavericks here. But as we've said all along, it's likely going to take a third team to get involved. And also, what is going to be the asking price for Golden State to take back contracts long term?
Okay, Bobby doing all the hard work for us here. Perk, what do you think about that?
I don't like either one of them. I love Bobby, but not because we're talking about Steph Curry, a guy that wants to win a championship. You need something that's going to actually move the needle. Michael Porter Jr., in my opinion, that's averaging about 25 points in Brooklyn, shooting a high percentage, won the NBA championship. Damn it, that moves the needle. Can that work, Bobby?
Well,
we'll find a way to make it work.
Well, we can look at it here, but here's the thing that's interesting with when you look at Michael Porter Jr., who's got another year after this season here. His contract's at $38 million. Remember, they can't take back more salary. When you have Jonathan Kuminga, now we've got to start adding salary here. Moses Moody, Buddy Hield, you keep now. It's not just Kuminga now. Now it's a second player or a third player that to get to that $30 million number here. It's certainly doable, and as we said, it's basically getting a third team involved. But it takes away some of your other players on your roster. But that we talked about the timeline, right? That fits the timeline because he only has another year left after the season, and a player that's averaging 26 points and can get